So, why don't you tell us what brought this great idea? What were you thinking?
Well, I wanted to do something that was memorable for the 1 year anniversary, and I thought my biggest vision was that I wanted every county to have a voice to talk about what happened and how it impacted them, no matter how impactful or how small of an area of the county was impacted. I think every county was impacted in some way, especially with mutual aid that they either received or that they helped give out to other communities. And just wanted the story to be told, especially from an emergency management perspective. And so what our plan was to interview the emergency manager from each county that was impacted by the tornado and get their story on how everything unfolded for them, and just try to get a summary of what happened for their county. And then the goal is that every day, starting on December 5th, we're going to release 2 videos, starting with Fulton County, and then end the week with the full video of all 8 counties that were impacted in our area.
And
So.
Really the front line of that warning effort on all weather events, of course, is the National Weather Service. That's you guys. So, and we, Pat and myself, were in on that, but you guys should probably tell us what happened from day one to from day one when we started saying, hey, we have some conditions here that are going to be very problematic. And I hadn't heard that story yet. I got your emails. I've got your warning. We had a long lead up to this event, which was great, which gave everybody fantastic, and what I would say gave us what FEMA told us is phenomenal response. We only had that response because we were ready for it.
The early warning.
The early warning. But what you guys could probably fill us in on is the process and actually what happened. That this is not our first event like this. It won't be our last event, but this certainly was an incredibly intense,
significant event.
Absolutely. And so maybe you guys can tell us, what did you see? When did you first see this? And what was the thought process of getting that information out?
FEMA said, know thy partners before you get into it.
Absolutely.
And I think my big points are that was pivotal. That we attend the Region 1 meetings, the Region 2 meetings, that we're in contact with our emergency management folks. We know these people by face, look. They know what we're saying, if we're really serious or not, right? And they can judge, and then our EMs can make that good call based on those strong relationships we're building. So to me, that is pivotal. It's not just the weather service. That's the emergency managers. And this is my takeaway from this whole thing was I still think of this as a stool. A good public reaction from a big event like this. Not every time does everybody go to shelter during tornado warning, right? But what we did was it was messaged so well. So I call it a stool with 3 legs. To make that stool effective and sturdy, you need the National Weather Service, you need the emergency management community, and you need the media. And when we are all working together in harmony with the same voice, look what happened, right? But the other thing was, it wasn't just this night. This was caused because we've worked so well together for 25, 30 years,
Sure.
And we've built that strong
And
relationship.
so I just thought that going back and looking at everything that the staff had done to get people ready for this event, no matter if you're talking about our partners or the public, I think we were definitely well prepared. And one of the things that sticks out in my mind the night of the event is one of our forecasters, about 2 hours before it even crossed into Kentucky, they put out a special weather statement, basically saying, hey, we're watching this monster supercell storm. It's producing a tornado, a very large and violent destructive tornado, and it is moving northeast and it will cross the border into Kentucky within the next couple of hours. And everybody needs to be ready, because if this doesn't decrease in intensity, it's going to be bad. And that was almost like a pre-warning statement that was issued, and I thought that was just phenomenal.
I remember that warning, and I remember calling the river counties and discussing what was coming, and they all knew that. And this is just not what you're describing. This is just not an academic pat on the back for us. This type of warning and this type of preparedness saves lives. I think we only lost 24 in Mayfield. which is tragic. But we could have lost hundreds across this entire storm if we had not been ready. So one of the themes I think that we want to discuss in these memorials and as we review this is preparedness saves lives.
This speaks volumes about the people that I am blessed to work with. I asked Randy if I need to come down there. He says, no, you need to go to Dawson Springs. So he was thinking about his neighbor even while he was dealing with his own issues. So I wasn't aware of the volume of damage at Dawson Springs. So when I checked with Muhlenberg, they said, you know, they're working the plan. They got a lot of people working. It's going good. I head to Dawson Springs, and then I linked up with Nick Bailey at the command post there in Dawson Springs, and we started operations and supporting his operations down there. I think I was joined to him at the hip for about a week or so, and still touching base daily with the affected counties.
Sounds like Steve and I. I mean, the day after, we were there. I kept calling staff throughout the day on Friday and said, you guys, do you need me? Do you need me? Do you need me? And they're like, we got plenty of people. He's like, rest up. You're going to be incredibly busy. And they were so right. So I know Steve and I, we got here first thing in the morning Saturday, and we got right in the van and headed right to Mayfield. And I remember distinctly when we got to Mayfield, I looked Steve straight in the eye. I go, where do we start? There is so much. I don't even know where to begin.
Developing those relationships. I'm so blessed to have had the time to develop those relationships. So when I use the example with Randy Graham, when he tells me he's got it, he's got it. So again, just to echo those relationships and how important they are to emergency management, National Weather Service, and our response to the citizens of the Commonwealth. Yeah, I was tracking them. I talked about the chat or my connectivity going down and on the chat. So my next go-to is the local media. In Davis County, it's the Evansville Market. And, you know, they were saying, hey, Dawson Springs, you need to take shelter right now. Excellent job by the media. And then my satellite went out. So I never heard any more, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But,
and I think it's one of those things where they didn't give up. Because I talked to some of the survivors that said, yeah, I was hearing the TV, I was hearing my weather radio going on, I'm hearing the sirens. They're hearing all the different, clues that something big was coming, but they still weren't taking action. It was the repetitiveness and, the media that didn't give up and said, okay, now it's heading here. Now we're giving them that play-by-play. And I think that is really what did it, because when some of the stories I heard, it wasn't until they mentioned specific, distances from towns or specific roads and things like that. And people are like, well, that's right here. And that's what, it depends on who you are and what piece of information you choose to take action on. And so I think it was just the constant barrage of information from the media that really made people realize how serious this
I want to
was.
speak a little bit to something else that really touched my heart in humanity, the good of humanity. When I stopped in Mayfield at the EOC, and I don't know if you ever had the opportunity because you were busy the other place, but in the back of that room, there were people from New York City. And I remember someone asking, why are you here? And they said, you all came when we needed you. There's no way we're leaving you without help and being there. And I'm seeing that carry on attitude continuing. Western Kentucky, just talking about going out and helping Eastern Kentucky with the flooding. That attitude of we're here, we're your brother, we're going to help your community get through this too. Thank you for helping us.
Yes.
We're paying you for it.
I think I just want to thank you all for being here and providing an intro to hearing all the stories from all of our counties and kind of just reflecting back on what the week was like, what it was like the hours, the weeks afterwards, and understanding that, we will be prepared for the next one, because it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when and where, and that we will continue to build these relationships and continue to better the science and better the staff for handling just about anything that comes our way.
It was a great effort, Christine. Great effort, Steve. It really was.
Ditto. Back at you all.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I think most of our folks and those in the emergency management community would say the same thing to you. I know they would. And again, like like Pat had said, one of the great things about it was the team effort. We got. I've probably made more friends here in the last year than I could ever remember, and it was a good thing. And watching everybody work was a phenomenal experience.